You already know exactly what he looks like. A giant of a man, muscles straining down on one knee and balanced across his shoulders and his bent back, a great round world. Blue oceans, green continents, the whole planet crushing him down. Atlas, the one who holds up the world. You have seen him 1,000 times on the cover of a map book, on a statue outside a bank, in 100 cartoons, the strongman with the earth on his shoulders, buckling under the weight of the entire globe. That is Atlas. That is the picture everyone carries. But open the oldest telling of him, the poem he first walks through, and look at what is actually written down, and you will find something strange, something that quietly rewrites the most famous statue in the world. Atlas is not holding the earth. He never was. In the actual Greek myth there is no globe, no planet, no round blue world on his back at all. What Atlas holds up is the sky, the whole dome of the heavens. He stands at the far western edge of the world with his arms and his head braced against the sky itself, holding it up, keeping the heavens from falling down onto the earth. The single most famous thing about him, the globe on his shoulders, is a mistake, and it is a mistake that is only a few hundred years old. So before you let that picture sit there unquestioned, the way it has probably sat there your whole life, I want you to hold on to 3 things, because each one bends the story further from the one you were sold. The first, Atlas is not a mortal strongman doing a chore. He is a Titan, one of the elder gods older than Zeus, and he is holding up the sky as a punishment, a sentence, for losing a war against the gods of Olympus. The second, the thing on his shoulders in the oldest source is not the ground you stand on, it is the sky over your head, and the whole point of him is that he keeps those 2 things, sky and earth, apart. And the third, the strangest one, the round earth you picture him carrying is younger than the printing press. For most of the life of this myth, nobody ever drew Atlas with the planet on his back, because nobody yet thought of him that way. The image in your head is not the ancient one. It is a Renaissance idea that got glued onto a much older god. I'm the myth-keeper, and I have stood at that western edge of the world in the old stories, where the sun goes down and the sky comes closest to the ground, and watched a Titan hold the whole weight of the heavens on his shoulders, alone, for what the poets call forever. And I can tell you the picture you have, the man in the globe, is a costume the last few centuries draped over a far stranger and far older god. The teller we lean on here, the oldest one, is Hesiod, in a poem called the Theogony, written down around 700 years before the Common Era, the poem that first sets the whole family tree of the Greek gods in order. Hesiod puts Atlas at the very edge of the world, and he is plain about the load. It is the broad sky, held up by Atlas's head in his tireless hands, not the earth, the sky. Later tellers add and change and rationalize, and I am going to flag them every time they wander from that oldest line, because the myth-keeper doesn't lie to you. But underneath every later costume sits Hesiod's shape, and it is not the shape on the map book. It is a Titan at the edge of everything, holding the heavens off the ground. So let's go back to who he actually is, which does not start with the sky at all, but with a war in heaven. Before Zeus, before the Olympian gods you know, there was an older generation. The Titans, giant elder gods, children of the earth and the sky themselves. And Atlas is one of them, a Titan, the son of the Titan Hesperides, which makes him a brother of Prometheus, the one who steals fire, and of a couple of other doomed brothers. So already notice, he is not some nameless muscle man hired to hold a weight. He is old divinity. He is from the generation that ruled the cosmos before the gods we worship in the famous stories even existed. And then that older generation goes to war with the younger one. The Titanomachy, the war of the Titans against the Olympians, 10 years of the elder gods and the young gods tearing the sky apart for control of everything. And Atlas is not a bystander. In the tradition, he is a leader on the losing side, one of the strongest of the Titans, out in front of the war against Zeus. And the Titans lose. Zeus and his siblings win the cosmos, and now the question every winner faces, What do you do with the leaders of the side that lost? Most of the defeated titans, Zeus throws down into Tartarus, the deep prison pit below the underworld, chained in the dark forever. But for Atlas he invents something else. Something that fits him because he was strong, and something crueler because it never ends and it is always in the light. Zeus sentences Atlas to stand at the western edge of the world and hold up the sky. Forever. That is the punishment, not a globe to carry on a walk. A sentence: stand here at the boundary of everything and hold the heavens up on your shoulders so they do not crash back down onto the earth, and never, ever put them down. Sit with how strange and how specific that is, because it is the whole heart of him, and the map book throws it away. The Greeks imagined that in the beginning sky and earth were pressed together, and had to be forced apart for there to be a world at all, a space to live in between the ground and the heavens. And Atlas is what keeps them apart. He is not decoration, and he is not carrying cargo. He is a load-bearing pillar of the universe, a living column at the world's edge, and if he ever shrugs, the sky falls and the world ends. The strongest of the losers made into the one thing holding the roof of the cosmos up off the floor. Now the sky, not the earth. I keep saying it because the whole video turns on it, so let me make it as plain as Hesiod does. In the Theogony, the words are almost blunt about it. Atlas, by strong necessity, holds up the wide sky at the limits of the earth in front of the Hesperides, standing there with his head in his unwearying hands. The load is named, and it is the sky, the broad heavens, the dome. Some later tellers make it even more architectural. Atlas holds up not the sky itself, but the great pillars, the columns that hold the sky and the earth apart, standing guard over them at the western edge. Either way, look at what is nowhere in it. There is no planet. There is no round earth on his back. The Greeks of Hesiod's day did not picture the world as a little ball you could set on a giant's shoulders. That is not how they saw the cosmos at all. Atlas holds the thing above you, not the thing beneath you. He is the reason there is a gap between the ground and the stars for you to stand up in. Get that one swap right, sky for earth, and half of what you thought you knew about him turns out to be about a different picture entirely. And where he stands matters too, because it is not nowhere. It is the edge. The Greeks imagined the world as a great disk ringed by the river of ocean, and out past the last of the known lands, in the far west where the sun sets, was the boundary of everything. That is where Atlas is posted. Right at the western rim, at the place where the sky comes down to meet the sea, which is exactly the place you would put the man whose job is to hold those two things apart. And right there beside him, in the same far western corner of the map, is a garden. The garden of the Hesperides, the daughters of evening, nymphs who tend a tree that grows golden apples, guarded by a dragon that never sleeps. Hold on to that garden and those golden apples, because a hero is about to come walking to the edge of the world looking for them. And for one strange afternoon, the whole weight of the sky is going to change hands. That hero is Heracles, the strongman you know, the one with the lion skin and the club, working through his famous labors, and the 11th of them is to fetch the golden apples from that garden at the western edge. And here is where he crosses paths with Atlas, in the one story where Atlas actually moves. Heracles cannot simply take the apples himself. In the best-known version, the tree is guarded, and the one person who can safely gather them is Atlas, whose relatives, the Hesperides, keep the garden. So Heracles makes an offer. He will take the sky, the whole crushing weight of the heavens, onto his own shoulders for a little while, if Atlas will just step out from under it, walk over to the garden, and fetch a few of the golden apples. And Atlas, who has been standing there holding up the sky for longer than there have been mortals, cannot believe his luck. He shrugs the heavens over onto the hero's back, and for the first time in an age he stands up straight, free, arms empty, and walks off to get the apples. And then comes the twist that tells you exactly how much that freedom means to him. He gets the apples. And he comes back, and he looks at Heracles standing there bearing the sky, and he thinks, why would I ever take that back? I will just carry these apples the rest of the way myself and leave this hero holding the heavens forever, and I will be free. Atlas tries to walk away and leave the sky on Heracles for good. So Heracles, who is strong but is also, in this story, clever, plays along. Wonderful, he says. Of course, you take the apples on. Just before you go, let me adjust the weight. It is sitting wrong on my shoulders, and I want to put a pad on for the long haul. Would you mind taking the sky back for one moment, just while I get comfortable? And Atlas, who is strong but is not, in this story, clever, sets the apples down and lifts the sky back onto his own shoulders, just for a moment, to let the hero fix his cushion. And Heracles picks up the golden apples and says thank you and walks away, leaving Atlas exactly where he found him, right back under the sky, holding the heavens off the earth, tricked out of the one afternoon of freedom he had had in an age. That is the one time in all the myth that Atlas puts the sky down, and he is fooled straight back under it by a man with a better story than his. The Titan who holds up heaven is undone not by a stronger back, but by a quicker mind. So then, the question this whole video is really about: if the oldest Atlas holds the sky at the edge of the world as a punishment, then where on earth did the man with the planet on his shoulders come from? How did the sky become the globe? And the answer is that it happened slowly and late, and it is a beautiful little accident of history. Start with what the ancients themselves did to him. Later Greek and Roman writers, uncomfortable with a literal giant holding up the actual heavens, began to rationalize him. Maybe they said Atlas was really an astronomer, a wise king of the far west who studied the stars, who first taught men about the sphere of the heavens, and the poets just turned that into a picture of a man holding the sky. So already in antiquity, Atlas gets quietly attached to one specific object, not the earth but a sphere, a model of the heavens, the celestial globe with the stars and constellations marked on it. And that is the object the great sculptors gave him. The most famous ancient statue of Atlas, the one called the Farnese Atlas, a Roman marble that has survived, shows him kneeling with a sphere on his shoulders, and that sphere is not the earth. It is the celestial globe. It is covered in the constellations, the map of the sky, not a map of the ground. For 1,000 years and more, when people pictured Atlas with a ball on his back, the ball was the heavens. And then the printing press arrives, and the world gets explored and mapped, and Atlas gets one last twist that fixes the mistake into all of us forever. In the 16th century, when the first great collections of maps of the whole known world were printed and bound into books, the map makers wanted a heroic figure for the title page, a symbol of carrying and knowing the world. And they reached for Atlas. Some of them printed a picture of the Titan holding a globe on the very first page. And because those books of maps carried his picture, the books themselves took his name. That is why a book of maps is called an atlas to this day. You are holding his name every time you open one, but look at what that did. Once Atlas is the man on the cover of the book of maps of the earth, the sphere on his shoulders stops being the sky and quietly becomes the earth. The celestial globe covered in stars gets swapped, in the popular imagination, for the terrestrial globe covered in continents. The heavens he was actually holding get turned into the planet he never touched. And that, the map book on the printer's table, is where your picture comes from, not from Hesiod, from a title page. So let me hold the two of them up beside each other now, the way this channel always does, because the gap between them is the entire point. The Atlas we inherited is a strongman with the planet on his back. He is a symbol of burden, of carrying the whole world, of the weight of everything pressing down on one exhausted pair of shoulders. He is a metaphor before he is a myth. When we say someone has the weight of the world on their shoulders, we mean that Atlas, the man and the globe, and it is a clean, useful, modern image. It just is not the old story. It has no war in it. It has no punishment in it. It has no sky in it. It has a planet he was never given, and it lost the reason he is there at all. The real one is a defeated Titan at the end of the world. He is not carrying a symbol of burden, he is serving a life sentence for losing a war against Zeus. He is not holding the earth, he is holding the sky, and he is the pillar that keeps the heavens from crashing down onto the ground. He stands at the western edge beside a garden of golden apples, and the one time he ever sets the sky down, a clever hero tricks him straight back under it. The map book made him a metaphor for effort. The oldest layer of the story made him the load-bearing column of the cosmos doing time. Those are not the same figure. They are not even holding the same thing. And here I owe you the honesty this whole channel runs on, because the myth of Atlas is not one clean line, and I am not going to pretend it is. The first honest thing, even in antiquity the tellers vary. Hesiod says the sky. Some say pillars that hold the sky and earth apart, which is close but not identical. And there is a whole other strand where Atlas is not holding anything at all, but is turned to stone. In that version, the hero Perseus, flying home with the head of Medusa, comes to Atlas at the western edge, is refused hospitality, and shows him the Gorgon's head, and Atlas is turned into stone, into a great mountain, the Atlas Mountains of northwest Africa that still carry the name. That is a different ending entirely, and it was told right alongside the sky holding one. The Greeks did not mind their myths disagreeing. The second honest thing, and I want to be careful with it, the astronomer king reading, the idea that the real Atlas was a wise stargazer, and the sky on his shoulders is just a metaphor for his knowledge, is itself an ancient guess, a rationalization by writers who were already embarrassed by the giant. It is not the original myth, it is an early attempt to explain the myth away. I am giving it to you as part of the history of how the globe got attached to him, not as the truth under the story. And where I have drawn the clean line, the sky is the old image and the earth is the new mistake. Understand that I am reading the oldest source closely, Hesiod first, but the tradition is a tangle, and that clean line is my best guess at the main thread, not a fact carved in marble. Because that is the thing this myth quietly does if you let it. It catches you being wrong altogether all at once about something you were completely sure of. Think about how confident that first picture was. The man, the globe, the continents, the weight of the world. If I had asked you yesterday what Atlas holds, you would not have hesitated. Everyone knows that one. It is on statues and book covers, and it is baked into the language. And it is wrong, or at least it is a costume from the wrong century. And the older, stranger truth, the sky, the punishment, the edge of the world, was sitting there in the very first telling the whole time, in plain words, waiting for anyone to actually open the book. And it is not that anybody lied. It is subtler and more interesting than that. A rationalizing writer swaps the giant for a stargazer. A sculptor gives him a globe of the constellations. A map-maker wants a hero for a title page and reaches for the nearest famous shoulders. A book of maps takes his name. And step by innocent step over centuries, a titan holding the sky as a sentence becomes a strongman holding the planet as a metaphor, and nobody chose it, and everybody believes it. The picture everyone shares turns out to be a thing no ancient ever wrote, assembled by accident, and handed to you so smoothly you never thought to check. And that in the end is the thing I want you to carry back out with you. It is a small correction, sky for earth, and it changes almost nothing about your day. But it is a very clean example of something worth being uneasy about. You were carrying a picture in your head, a vivid, confident, specific picture, and you were certain it was old and true, and it was neither. It was a few centuries old, and it was a mix-up. And you never suspected, because everyone around you was carrying the exact same picture, and a thing everyone is sure of stops feeling like something you could even check. So the next time an image feels that obvious, that settled, that everyone knows, let Atlas be the little splinter of doubt. Ask what the oldest telling actually says, not the one on the book cover. Because the man with the world on his shoulders was standing under the wrong thing for 500 years, in plain sight, and it took nothing more than opening the first poem to see it. The sky was always what he was holding. We are the ones who handed him the earth. So here is what I honestly want to know down in the comments, and I will be reading them. First, the simple one, and be honest. Before today, if I had asked you what Atlas carries on his shoulders, would you have said the world, the earth, the globe? Because almost everyone does, and I want to know if you were in that boat with the rest of us, or if you already knew it was the sky. Tell me exactly what picture was in your head. And then the harder one, the one I keep turning over. Now that you know the globe is a Renaissance costume glued onto a much older god, does the real Atlas, the defeated Titan holding the heavens off the earth at the edge of the world, land bigger for you or smaller? Tell me down below. And tell me which mask you would like me to pull off next. I'm the Myth Keeper. This whole channel is about the gods and the monsters you think you know, and the far older, far stranger ones the real stories actually wrote down, waiting underneath the costumes that later tellers draped over them. So come back with me to the edge of the world and up under the weight of the sky, again soon. There are a great many names up here that the world quietly traded for a single easy picture. And not one of them is ever quite the image you were handed.